Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I know it's early and it's the end of the semester and everyone is just hanging on by a thread. So hopefully a little sugar will help. So I am Nicolette Costu. I'm the Assistant Director at the Center for Latin American Studies. I'm probably the person that you've been corresponding with who's been bugging you about coming to this meeting and doing all these things. So I will be kind of co-leading the meeting with Avery, who is our Executive Director at the Center. And so she will be kind of answering any peripheral questions that I have no idea how to answer. So, and everyone knows Alma. So I figured now that you know us, we should probably go around the room and you guys introduce yourselves to the group, kind of talk about, well, your name, obviously, what department you're in, whether you're undergrad, graduate, what degree, and where you're going.
I'm Jessica Fletcher. I'm a master's student in the Latin American Studies program, and I'll be going to Cuba for the summer to do archival research.
Hello, my name is Gabriela. I'm from Peru and I'm an archaeologist. I'm a fourth-year graduate student. I'm doing my pre-dissertation research, so I'm going to the highlands of Peru.
I'm Lauren. I'm an undergrad, and I'm studying MHS in Spanish, and I'm going to Guatemala this summer and studying some reproductive health things.
Cool. Welcome to my country. My name is Miguel. I'm from Guatemala. I went and I will go to Guatemala for this summer. I am a fifth-year student in the Latin American program.
Hello, I'm Andrea. I'm first year master's in Latin American Studies. I'm from Boston and I'm going to outside of Cusco, Peru to do anthropological.
Jacob Brown. I'm a PhD student in the Spanish and Portuguese department. I had to remember it. I'm going to Sao Paulo to do some intensive language courses and social problems courses in Sao Paulo.
Okay, I'm Russell. I'm an undergraduate student, and I'm major in history, and I'm going to Sao Paulo for the language and social courses.
I'm Christina. I'm a first year in the anthropology department. I am going to Peru this summer to do some interviews and look at some sites. I'm a bioarchaeologist, so I'm interested in looking at human skeletal remains.
Hey, I'm Fernando. I'm actually in the engineering department, so I feel a little lonely here. But I'm an undergrad, first year in studying engineering, and I'm going to Sao Paulo.
My name is Elvira, it's almost the same. You could call me as you wish. And I'm doing my PhD in Spanish and Portuguese department, and I will go with Jacob and Rasul and my dear friend Fernando to Sao Paulo for the same reason. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, so I figure we will get started. I will pass out sort of our agenda, so all the things that we're going to be doing today. I'm talking about. Keep one. Okay. I think I made it. There's enough. I think so. Yes, grab snacks, please. Okay, so we will just go straight down the agenda. Most of it is just sort of routine paperwork type stuff, but it's important for us to just kind of go over. So the first point is you guys are going to have to register with the Global Education Office online. So it's the ISOS system. So this just alerts Vanderbilt that you will be abroad, you'll be out of the country, and you'll be doing a Vanderbilt-related program, right? So that's a very important point. That you're not just going to be going for vacation and for your own kind of thing, that this is a Vanderbilt-related thing. So the instructions are there, so you just go to the main page, you're going to click on travel registration, and just sort of fill in all your information. Okay. Another part that's important related to the Global Education Office is insurance. So FLAS students are going to need to get health insurance through the university, a temporary type of insurance for the summer. I don't think anybody here is going to the Mayan Language Institute program, but the Brazilian Portuguese program as well through CET. So they've been shifting the name of this insurance, so you might see it listed as GeoBlue and you might see it listed as HTH, depending on when the page was updated, but that is the same insurance, right? So that's through Vanderbilt. And that's going to be rolled, the cost of that is rolled into your program fee, so that's not something you're going to have to pay in addition.
And so one thing, maybe I'll just jump in. Those of
Yeah.
you, for the FLOSS students that are going to Sao Paulo, you, for that program, are effectively considered Tulane students. And so you'll enroll through Tulane if you haven't done so already. And this is why a lot of this is automatic, but we just want you to be aware of it and be proactive about it, right? I mean, we have had students have to access clinics and so on when they're abroad, and it works really well. This is a good insurance. It's an easy system.
Yeah, you never know what can happen, so it's always good to have a little extra insurance. Okay. Any questions about the insurance or the registration part? No? And probably most of you already have domestic coverage because you are students at Vanderbilt, so either through the university, you have year-round insurance. Do you have a question?
I'm thinking the international students need to register also to the GEO and also get insurance abroad?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Well-
Vanderbilt wants you to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go check it out. It's not very expensive, and so it's something that you might want to consider. It's in the end, it's up to you. The signing up through the travel registration is really important because, as Nicolette was saying, they just want to know where everyone is at Vanderbilt students. You're there using Vanderbilt funding, and so it's a Vanderbilt program, and so, you know, even though it's your home country, if something happened to you, Vanderbilt wants to know that you're there, and
Yeah.
if they needed to get you home or something, they would want to get you home here or home to
Right.
home in Peru, whatever, wherever you need to
It's
go.
all about liability, right?
Exactly.
They are liable for whatever happens to you guys, so they want to make sure that you're covered as much as possible. Okay, no other questions about insurance? Super exciting stuff. Okay. Coming from the
But it is. Last year
Yeah.
we had someone bitten by a dog
Yeah.
in Guatemala and
never
had to
know.
be flown to Miami to get, you know,
A
the
tetanus
shot that you need, and then got flown back to Guatemala.
Yeah.
All in like a 3-day period. It worked like this. It was really easy. So it sounds boring, but it's important to know because you never, I mean, a dog bite, you know, that's not what you would think
Very
of. right?
random things.
Yeah.
Okay, so then sort of in this health vein, right, so let's talk about immunizations. So as college students or graduate students, you guys probably have met the minimum guidelines for all of the immunizations and stuff. But since you're going to be going to, many of you will be going to countries that you've never been before, you might want to think about sort of the recommended or the required immunizations through the CDC. So you can go to the CDC webpage. It'll show you kind of what country you're going to, what region specifically that you're going to be in. If you're going to be staying in an urban area versus in a rural area, that's going to necessitate different things. So you might want to check those out. And for most things, I just went through this, right? So for most things, you should be able to go through the Student Health Center, but for some unusual things that are sort of recommended and not required, like yellow fever, you will have to go to the travel clinic, right? So you'll have to be referred from Student Health to the travel clinic to get any immunizations that they don't currently have. So that's just something to kind of be aware of. And on top of that, right, because of mosquito-borne illnesses that aren't necessarily, they don't have a vaccine that's associated with them, so those are things that in terms of precautions that you take, depending on where you're at, it's important to be aware of, right? So Zika especially, dengue, and chikungunya, right? So wearing long sleeves, making sure that you bring mosquito repellent because you're not sure when you get to that country what kind of sprays and things are going to be available, so those are things you might want to think about taking with you, right? Yeah, so those things are all kind of dependent on what kind of context you're going to be in. Anything else to add with them? No? Any questions about immunizations? Nope. So for the general safety abroad, I wanted to kind of open it up to you guys because I know that many of you are either from other countries or you've already been to many other countries. So what are some of the things that you would say are important? Are you going to be our note taker? Important to kind of consider when you're abroad in different parts of Latin America?
We talk about this a little bit in our department in anthropology, especially with folks who spend a lot of time in fields. like for women particularly, like it becomes important to wear certain clothes. So like wearing, I don't know, when I go to the field I just look gross. I wear like baggy pants and like a not nice looking t-shirt and stuff like that, as opposed to wearing something like I'm wearing right now, just because I don't want to attract unwanted attention and stuff like that as a woman, which is just something that sometimes happens.
Yeah, that's a great
Very
point.
nicely put.
Yeah. Hey, good morning. So yeah, so sometimes in terms of safety, it is a little gender specific, which is unfortunate for us ladies, but that's just the way it is. So, here.
Yeah, I will add to that. You consider yourself queer or LGBTQI. Just be aware of where you are. I mean, if you're in the city, different than if you're in the field, if you're in a community far away from the city. So just be, I mean, it's great to be yourself and everything, but just be careful. That's the first thing. Many of, especially if you're working in communities far away from cities, you just have that in the back of your mind, and that's how things are, sadly. So just stay. Read web pages that from local groups to help you get some information from them, but that's the main thing.
Any other kind of specific things for people who maybe have never been abroad or never been to parts of Latin America?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of the documents,
Mm-hmm.
we should take the originals with us or copies of the documents each time we go out?
Of
Which
like your
doc-
passport
I
and
mean
stuff?
in the city. When we are in the city, should I left in the home where I'm staying my documents and, for example, go to the university with copies of the documents, or should I take the originals with me?
It depends on what you think you'll be needing the documents for.
In case that police ask me,
Right.
for example.
Okay.
I mean, so you all go as a group, and so this is now I'm specifically talking to the Sao Paulo people, you all go as a group to register with the federal police the first week, the first few days you're there.
Right.
And so I hope that that will help mitigate that, and that's a good question for you to ask them. I would say leave your original documents at home and carry around copies. I don't think we've had students have problems being stopped and asked for their papers. It doesn't mean that it couldn't happen, but I would err on the side of keeping them in a place that you know is safe and that somebody's not going to take it off of you.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It depends on how you feel about your homestay or wherever you're at. If you feel comfortable and you feel like the documents will be secure leaving them, then I would definitely leave them.
Especially Sao Paulo, that there's so many people on the streets. I don't know, you don't want them to be stolen.
Yeah, and then the other thing is you all, and you'll do this with the larger cohort, still talking just to the FLOS students that are always going to be together. You know, you all need to have each other's contact information and phone numbers.
Yes.
With the Vanderbilt students and with everyone else once you get there, so that if anything comes up, you can say, hey, you know, I'm having this problem, or I'm lost and I can't get home, whatever it may be.
Right.
And the directors, they will be very, they'll be helpful.
Yeah. Well, and this is kind of veering off track, but in terms of communication among people, if you're going to be in groups or in pairs or whatever, you want to think about trying to get cell phone service abroad. And some of you, this might be kind of something that you're very familiar with and you've already done, but for others, this might be the first time. So you'll need to, if you're on your own plan, you'll need to contact your cell phone provider, and I know different carriers kind of handle it different ways, but you can pay a short-term fee to allow your phone to be unlocked internationally. So it's like a per diem cost that you'll accrue for however long that you're there, and it'll allow you to make phone calls in country and also outside of the country.
And have people call you, and
have people call you.
Yeah, it's not super expensive.
Right.
I mean, you guys are students, so it's gonna be more expensive. You know, I mean, everything is expensive, right? But it's not super expensive, and it is worth it. Or get a little phone. In Guatemala, we call them frijolitos, a little
burner phone,
a not smartphone.
Yes.
That you can buy, for $20, and then you can communicate locally and also make calls out of the country.
Yeah.
Well, about phones, in Sao Paulo, I know it's really cheap just to buy a chip, and if you're fine carrying your iPhone, maybe not with the newest iPhone, but like everyone there has smartphones. But just buying a chip is like $10, and then you get your phone number, and you can buy a like a plan just to send text messages, use data. And it's very, very cheap. But if you have the newest fancy iPhone, people can steal that. So I recommend getting a dumb phone that works well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the old 90s flip Nokia phones. Those are, no one wants to steal those. Okay. Did you have another question about phones?
I was actually going to say something in the same lines. If you need to bring your smartphone, just make sure you
Jailbreak it?
Yeah. T-Mobile will let you just like change the chip, and then you get a code, and then you buy a new chip, and then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to check with your carrier first.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
Well, and if you do bring your phone abroad, make sure you back it up on something. All your contacts and pictures and music and anything that you have on there, make sure that if something does disastrously happen to your phone, that you have that information somewhere.
Same goes for laptops.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Lots of horror stories about that. Okay, so any other things that we would add for general safety abroad and thinking of maybe people who have never been abroad or never been to Latin America? Just basic safety stuff.
For urban centers, be aware of where your things are. Basically, don't wear a backpack, have everything in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I carry my purse in front of me just out of habit. It's like in the cab, you just keep the purse around you. In the subway, you're hugging the backpack.
Mm-hmm.
If you're taking an overnight bus, you have the backpack around your arm so no one can sleep in and take something out. So just have your belongings to your chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would add to that, I think y'all's comments have been great. I would add to that just general awareness, just personal safety, go out if you're out at night, and this is true of being in communities as well as being in larger urban centers. Go with someone else, don't walk alone. I mean, I would apply that same advice, to many places in Nashville at this point.
Yeah.
And so be aware, know the people, and this is even more for those of you all who are doing independent research. Know some local people that are your people that you can ask them, hey, is this an okay area for me to go to? Should I be able to walk around here? Because some places you can and some places you can't, and you just need to get that information from the people that live there to know what you're able to do and what you're not able to do.
Anything else you guys would add about safety? One thing that I would add in an urban context, one Brazilian once told me, wherever you go, even if you're lost, walk with purpose, right? Walk as if you know exactly where you're going. Until you can duck into a store, you can duck into a gas station, somewhere and ask where you're going, right? Because if you're walking around looking at your Google Maps, that's a really bad idea.
Yeah.
So just walk with purpose. Were you going to say something?
Don't walk with your phone.
Right. Don't be walking around holding your phone. Yeah, that's a bad idea.
That's exactly what I was just about to say.
Yeah. Oh, you got to leave.
I've heard to never whip out your phone and take a selfie. Just don't do it.
No.
In any case, I'm going to have to go.
That's fine. I'll send you the rest of it.
Thank you so much for filming.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
All
Nice
right.
to meet you all.
Thanks for coming.
See you in Sao Paulo.
See ya.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, so now that we've talked about health and wellness and all that good stuff, so now we get to the nitty-gritty, right, which is reporting. So you guys, for the FLOSS students, I'll say, right, so this is a little bit different for Tinker and Collier, but for the FLOSS students, you guys are going to be expected to report. So you're going to have a pre and a post-test language evaluation, so that's a form of reporting, and then after you're finished, you're also going to have to report on your final grades. And so we ask that you do not fill in, because they give you the option to say TBD, right, to be determined, or audit, or something like that. But if at all possible, please put in an actual grade, or if it's pass-fail, then put pass-fail. And your instructors should be giving you that information, so you should have a final grade by the end.
Yeah, they know, the instructors know that you all need a grade.
Yeah.
And don't go fill this out until you have the grade.
Right.
And it's fine for you to email the instructors of the Sao Paulo program and say, hey, I got to fill out my FLOSS report. They know about this, so this is they're in this world too.
Yeah.
But this is super important. It's super important. It's tied to the funding. This is, you know, a
And
good
it's federal.
record. Yeah.
This is federal, so it's not just us being like, fill out the report.
A good record helps us
Yeah.
continue to get the funding so that, you know, future students can also go to these programs. So it's really important. There a lot of times there's glitches and problems. You can reach out to Nicolette
Yeah.
and she'll kind of help you navigate it or put you in touch with the tech people.
Yeah, so it's not the most beautiful system, I will say. And another thing that's important to keep in mind is that when you guys log into the system, what you see is not what I see, right? So if you're having a technical issue, you're going to have to directly contact whoever the webmaster or the tech person is on that site, because I can't explain to you step by step the way that it looks or what you're supposed to do, which I think is also a problem. I should be able to see it, but that's the way that they do it. Yeah, so then afterwards, right, so even after you fill out your grades and sort of the culminating report after you finish the program, since you are a federally funded FLOS student, every 2 years you'll be asked to report back about this, right? And
they're
there's
really
not
just
really
going
an
to
end date
ask
for that.
you. Yeah, no, there's no. It's indefinite.
It's sort of
you know,
indefinitely.
it's continues forever into the future.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real short survey. They
Yeah.
essentially want to track what you're doing, you know, with your life, in your career, and if you're using the language skills that you got through this program in your career. That's what the questions are going to be geared towards. So, you know, just put an email address in there. They ask you for one that's not tied to the university. Put one that's a personal email that you can imagine yourself using 10 years from now, and be on the lookout for those surveys. It's helpful to them. It's helpful for us.
Any questions about reporting for the FLOS students? No. Okay. So sort of another form of reporting, but this is a really fun way, right, is that we have our graduate student roundtables, and this is also inclusive of undergraduates too, so don't feel left out just because it says graduates. Just the majority of them are graduates. So we have an event in September and in January, right, so both semesters. So what we'll do is we'll kind of send out, again, sort of a survey to all of you guys and say, which semester do you feel like is better for you, which one? And it'll be just basically a presentation about what you did, right, what money you got, what did you do with it, what was your experience like, and sort of just general information about your experience with the money and everything. And so that we use that both as a way for us to kind of hear about all the cool things that you guys do, and also for other students who might come to that presentation and be interested in applying for this kind of funding. And it's a really great way for them to kind of see, oh, well, this person, went to Cuba and did a really cool project. This person went to Peru. Like, oh, that's really neat. I would like to do that. Right. So it's a good way of kind of spreading the word about the projects and about the money. So.
And this is not for the FLOS students, so no.
Right.
For those
Not for
going to
FLOS.
Sao Paulo.
This is for research projects.
Yeah. Simon Collier.
And then there is, the Tinker and Simon Collier students also do have to turn in a report in late August.
Right, for that endowed. I don't know if we have any of them here today.
Lauren and.
Lauren, oh, just one, okay.
Facundo.
No, but also
No.
the Tinker.
No, Sebastian.
Sebastian.
The Tinker report too. They have to turn in a report.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, do you want to talk about that really quick?
Sure. So all of you all who got funding to do research have to turn in a report. Nicolette can send y'all the deadline, but we like it to be due essentially at the end of August. And I would suggest it's a narrative of what you did, and it may include a small budget section, but it's going to be as simple as the budget was that you came up with in your application. You don't have to collect receipts. It's nothing like that. But essentially, it's an overview of what you accomplished. And you can think of it as the basis for this presentation that you would do in one of the graduate student roundtables. We like to get it in as soon as possible, and I would suggest that you do it, like right after you come back from the field,
right.
Or even as you're wrapping up in the field while everything's fresh, and maybe revise it once you're back and have a little bit of distance from it. But we also use it, we put all of these, we take excerpts of them and put them in our newsletter. And so that way we're also, showing everybody what you all have done over the summer. And I think for the fall newsletter, I think it's a really fun section for people to read and get your name out there and all that sort of good stuff. Mm-hmm. And so the Tinker one in particular gets compiled into a report that we have to send them by September 15th. And so Nicolette has to compile it and put it all together, and that's why the deadline has to be no later than late August, and you can let them know exactly when you want it.
And I'll give them a heads up.
But be on the lookout for it. It won't take you a ton of time. Okay.
So, is that clear? So the FLAS people are going to be doing the reporting, the grades and stuff online in perpetuity every 2 years, doing a quick survey. The Tinker and Collier people are going to be doing sort of a summary report at the end of the summer, plus doing the roundtables in either September or January. So any questions about that?
And we'll get an email or whatever about, okay, awesome.
Yes, I will bug you so much.
Yeah, and giving you some guidelines and everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
again, it's not complicated.
No,
You'll all
no,
be
no.
able to do it.
Okay, so no questions about that. So another requirement for sort of the graduate level, right, is doing our certificate, right? So Latin American Studies graduate certificate. So of the graduate students here, how many people have heard of the Latin American Studies graduate certificate? How many people are enrolled in the graduate student certificate? They think they are. Okay. All right. So I'll pass out really quickly the requirements for the certificate. So there's basically 3 general categories. So one is credit hours, right? So we require 12 credit hours, 6 of which have to be within your own field, or can be within your own field, right? So if you're an anthropologist, they can be 6 hours of anthropology that have to do with Latin America, which is a really easy thing to do. And then 6 hours have to be outside of that, right? So if you've ever taken a history class, or if you took a political science class, or anything outside of your field, those 6 hours related to Latin America will fulfill that. The second part, again, very easy for a lot of people in this room, is demonstrate conversational or reading proficiency in Spanish, Portuguese, or an indigenous language. So most of you, this is going to be just sort of a pro forma check mark. And then the third part is to participate in 5 of our extracurricular activities, right? So we've upped it now. We're at 160 events per year. So you have plenty of opportunities to pick 5 of those to go
Over
to.
like 2 to 3 years.
Over 2 to 3
potentially. I mean-
years, yes.
You all stand up.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure
Elise, if you want to,
But
I'm a stand. Yeah.
thank you, sorry.
we need to, I think the rules changed from 4 years ago to now, how you enroll in the program. And I think I was the last cohort to enroll in the previous way of doing it.
Okay.
And I don't know if I need to like re-enroll or like.
We can.
No, I don't think. Do you have her on your list?
I can check the master list and see if you're there. I'll just go ahead and give you the information. If it seems familiar, I can check for you, and if you're there, then we don't have to re-enroll you. All right. So anyway, so 5 extracurricular activities, and then you just write a summary report of what those activities were, what you learned, why we're awesome, and you'll turn that into me, and that's basically it. And then you've got the certificate. So.
Can we do that at like any point? So like if I like want to write about 5 events that I've been to across the past year and then a couple next year, that's like fine too. It doesn't have to be all in one consecutive year, like a certain.
It doesn't have to be one consecutive year. I would prefer, in terms of the document, if it's all like all of the 5 events are together in one document.
Oh, okay.
So however you need to do that, that's fine.
Yeah, and one of the ideas behind the certificate is to encourage you all to take a course or 2 outside of your home discipline, which is good for you, but it also helps us build this like nice interdisciplinary network of graduate students that we have now. Because you have to be reliant on peers in other disciplines if you're taking courses that their field.
Right. So then the form that I'm passing out now, so one is the description of the certificate, and the other one is the notification to enroll. And also, if any other grad students, if I'm missing people, just shout out and I will pass it around. So the second form is the notification to enroll, right? So this is the enrollment form, just to give you a sense of what's on there. So it's just basic information, when you're enrolling, the name of the certificate program, I'll sign off on it, you'll sign off on it, your DGS will sign off on it, and then it'll go to the graduate school for approval. And all of that does is that I'll be able to see you in YES. So when I log into YES, I'll be able to see like, oh, okay, you took this history course, so therefore you're working towards the certificate hours and stuff like that. So that just makes you visible on YES to me. That's it. So any questions about the graduate certificate? Okay. any undergraduate students who need these forms? Maybe. It's more geared towards PhD. It's a little hard for a master's student. But, okay. No questions about that. Okay. Okay, so for undergraduate students, since you'll be taking courses abroad, you'll, again, giving the university kind of a heads up about what you're doing, you'll need to fill out a petition for summer courses taken elsewhere, which I think is a very flowery title to a form. But so this basically will just be a chart that indicates what course you're taking, what institution, when you're taking it, so that when you do finish that course and you bring back the documentation to add it to your transcript, it makes that transition much, much smoother. So, undergraduate. Okay. I think that's it, right? Oh, I always forget you're an undergraduate. You're an MN. Okay. All right. So any questions about the petition for courses taken elsewhere? No. Okay. So on the graduate end, if you want to get credit for the courses that you're taking abroad, this gets a little trickier, right? Because typically graduate students don't do study abroads and take courses. So in order to do this, it's a little bit more complex, but I wanted to kind of give you guys just the transfer credit form, right? Just so that you can see the way it looks. And this is something that will have to be done after you get back. This is not something that we can kind of do in advance of you going. And sort of the other inherent problem with that is that we have to find some kind of a course equivalency at Vanderbilt for you to plug into for graduate students. And for undergraduates, there's so many equivalencies around the world, it's much easier than it is for graduates. All right, so is anybody anticipating that they would like to get graduate credit for what they're going to do this summer? And it kind of exclusively relates to the language courses, not necessarily for the research projects. Nobody interested in that? That makes my life a lot easier. Thank you. Okay.
Elvira was, correct?
I was.
Yeah, Elvira wants to be credited.
Oh, for the language? Yeah, okay. So we could talk more about
I don't want
this.
to complicate your life.
No. If it's good for you, then go ahead and complicate my life. That is what I'm here for.
Okay,
So,
thank
okay.
you. Thank you, Alma.
Yeah, so we can talk more about that in terms of about the labeling of the courses, because sometimes that gets a little tricky. But anyway, so any questions about courses and things abroad? Because most of you, I think, are doing research, so it's not a thing. Okay, so another thing, surprise, surprise, you're going to be added to our listserv. So you're going to get our emails about all of our amazing 160 events per year. So it's not going to be overwhelming. We typically send out one email per week that has just sort of a rundown of everything that's going to be happening that week so that you're informed. And again, the purpose of this is not to, overload your inbox. The purpose is to really make you feel engaged in this community of scholars that work in Latin America, right? So that you feel part of it, despite being an engineering major, right? Or in EES or anything like that.
I also have dancing in Festa Junina.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to
Engineers dance, they dance, right? So then you guys will be sort of plugged into the sort of information network of everything that's happening, and sometimes job opportunities pop up, sometimes grant opportunities pop up, so it's really good to pay attention to those emails because you never know what the news is going to be, right? Anything you wanted to add about the listserv? No. Okay, so any questions? We've reached the Q&A portion of today. Any questions about anything? Not necessarily even.
In terms of the summer courses, so do they offer like independent research credit over the summer? Because I'm not that concerned about it, but if it would be easy, then I'm like, okay, maybe I should do it. But I mean, that's obviously not a requirement. I'm just curious if you know anything about that process.
Yes. I mean, it is possible.
Okay.
I think what will make it easier, right, so the dean that handles this is a bit of a stickler. So the thing that will make this easier is that before you go, if you have sort of a syllabus in mind, right, the way that you would do an independent study here, you would meet with the professor and you'd say, hey, I want to work on this particular topic, and these are the readings that I want to focus on, and these are the topics, and have really sort of a schematic of how you're going to be spending your time. then presenting that, and maybe even having like a deliverable at the end, right? Like a paper or an interview or something that you can show, like I've actually accomplished this thing that I said I was going to do. Having those types of things makes it much more compelling. And also if we do it ahead of time and we present it to them ahead of time and say, this is really, really what she wants to do, and these are the people she's going to work with and the things she's going to read or whatever, then that makes the whole path much, much smoother.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah, you would have to have someone on faculty who's really guiding you, working with you, and so it would be more involved than a research project that you might be envisioning now. There'd probably be more readings, a paper, like Nicolette's suggesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to do that, I think that's a great thing to pursue.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be more robust, I would say.
And more work on the front end.
Yeah,
for sure.
Sounds good.
Any other questions about anything at all?
So when you talked about the petition for summer courses taken, would that be, so is the school, the Pookie in Sao Paulo, or is it Tulane?
That's a great question.
Tulane.
Maybe Tulane.
Tulane,
Okay.
You will get a transcript from Tulane. It's a Tulane course that you'll get. And so that is, we've had a number of students transfer the Tulane courses to Vanderbilt. So you just have to go through this process,
And that makes sense too, because having a US-based institution makes it much easier to transfer credit than from an international institution. So, any other questions?
Yeah, so I just want to remind y'all that it's the end of the semester. We're excited. Y'all are about to go off for the summer and have these amazing language and research experiences. Don't forget when you come back to do the reports and continue to be engaged in the center. Particularly the graduate student roundtable. All of you all should present all of the stuff. We've all read your proposals. It's all very interesting, and so. Sometimes it gets hard to schedule and you're busy and so on, but please do come and make sure that you present your research and do the reports on time and so on.
Yes, make our lives much easier.
And it's super interesting, and we'll have wine and dinner.
If for no other reason to do the graduate student roundtable, it's for the free wine and the free dinner. And so the last 2 pages are just a little bit of sort of housekeeping information for FLOS students specifically. So for the Brazilian program, a little bit of information about like homestays and kind of how you're getting from here to there. And some fees and things. And again, I don't think there's anybody here that's doing the Mayan Language Institute program, but there's information about that on the back page.
Yeah, and a lot of those of you doing the Sao Paulo program, Laura Wise, have y'all been in touch with her? Yeah, okay, is a great resource. She can answer most of your questions. Feel free always to loop Nicolette or me in, anytime you have a question so that we know anything that's going on. But Laura is a great go-to person, and I'm glad y'all are already in touch with her.
She has the best name, too. Laura Wise Person. She married the right guy, right? I mean, wise person.
Wise person.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Any final questions? Otherwise, we will turn you loose.
I'm sure there's questions about money.
Oh.
Nobody has a question about money.
All right, go ahead, Alma. Bring it out. Do it.
Okay, so this year is going to work differently than other years. You have to buy your flight through Concur and then send me that confirmation, because the remaining of the money I have to give it to you as a cash, direct deposit. So as soon as you get your flight, send it to me so I can process that.
What if they don't have access to Concur like that?
Yeah,
Go
undergraduates.
through your administrator. I already wrote a long email to all the Tinker awardees for this. Yes.
And for undergraduates?
Undergrads.
For undergrads, I already processed Lauren's check. So it should go as the full amount because they don't have access to Concur.
So they're buying their own flights?
Yes. So you'll get the full award.
Okay. And do you know approximately when it will come in?
I sent the paperwork, I think, a week or so ago.
Okay.
So hopefully in the next week or 2.
So if we're doing multiple flights, so for instance, I'm gonna go down to Peru, but plan on doing flights within that country, do I need to do all of those flights through Concur as well? Or just the initial flight?
Do the initial flight if you think it's gonna be easier for you to do it with outside Concur.
Okay.
They don't want you to, but I know like small airlines, sometimes they're easier to book within the country.
Yeah.
So just send me like the bulky one.
Okay.
And that way I can process the rest of your award. And you can get it direct deposit.
With the rest of the award that gets sent direct deposit, what's the tax thing with that? Is there something that we have to do special for taxes with that?
No, because I will do it as a stipend.
Okay.
Of course, the international students will get taxed.
Okay.
Sorry, Miguel.
Sorry, guys.
And what about the FLOS, the undergraduate FLOS students? How do they buy their tickets?
With FLAS students, it will be different because, like for the Sao Paulo, there's not much left. There's only $500 that I have to give you. For undergrads, I'll do a stipend. It will go directly to you. Elvira and Jacob. I think Jacob went through Concur. It's going to go through Concur to buy.
Yeah, yeah, because I told him, I'm like, just do it through Concur.
Yes. So eventually I'll give you the center number where you can allocate those $500. And you will have to pay with your credit card the rest. The whole bulk will go on.
Can I get first the 500 and then buy the tickets? No, I will buy the tickets and then you refund me.
I will give you the the center number and you will allocate separate.
Okay.
When you get
Yeah.
talk.
Okay, perfect.
It's complicated.
I have another question. Can we, if we don't have the credit line to buy our own tickets, can we go to the department and the allocation number?
Yes, it's the one I sent you on the email. That's the one you're gonna use.
And then all of the FLOS students, are you doing the travel award request in the IRIS system?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
So the people who are on FLOS fellowships, we need your airline information because we also have to submit that to the Department of Education. So Nicolette can do that. We just need the information from you all, ideally before you buy the plane ticket. And if you've already bought the plane ticket, just send the information to us. You do have to, again, because this is federal money, you do have to fly on U.S. carriers unless there's not another option. So for most of y'all, there's an option. You're going to Sao Paulo, so
Just
you can fly on a U.S. carrier.
Beware of United, right?
Yeah.
In my case, when I finish FLAS, I want to travel to Cuba from Brazil. It's possible to go and not directly to United States?
Yes.
Because my home is in Cuba, so it's...
Yeah, that's a good, but using the funding.
I don't know.
No, I won't use the funding because I just have 500.
Oh, you only have 500.
But it's
Yeah,
just
that's
to
fine.
know
That's
if
fine
I
then.
don't have...
Oh, yeah, if you're not using the money for it, then
No.
you can,
And we'll
then
just
you could
apply the
yes.
funding like to the flight
To the
from
initial
US
flight.
to
Yes,
Sao Paulo.
exactly.
Yes, no, that's absolutely fine. Please go home.
Please go. Good, yeah, okay, yeah, thanks for bringing up the money, that's really important. Any other money-related questions?
One
Yes.
thing about flights, if I want to change a flight that I already bought through Concur, do I have to change it through Concur, or do I call the airline directly?
Call, you could use their travel agents. That's the advantage of using World Travel.
Yeah.
You can just email them. And
It's World
say,
Travel or
World
something?
Travel. Yes,
Yeah.
and they can do it for you.
Yeah, or call them. They're very nice. They're very helpful in my experience.
And I can give you those emails.
Any other questions? You've been super expedient.
Right.
Did 2 hours in one, all right.
What's the sugar?
It's the sugar, right, so yes, please take the sugar. All right, well, if you guys don't have any more questions, then you are free to go. Thank you for coming. We're really excited for you. We look forward to hearing about all the
Take
amazing
pictures.
things. Yes, oh yes.
yes.
Take pictures and send us pictures, yes.
Because those will go on the newsletter
Yes, and the webpage and.
And take pictures of yourselves, like not selfie photos when you're at a bar or a
Take
restaurant.
pictures with
Doing
bones.
your work. Yeah, pictures with bones.
Pictures with bones.
If you doing your research
There you go.
or in the language classes or with your fellow students.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, yes, that's right. So take pictures. That's the general.
I'm sorry I missed it. I was in class, so I.
That's okay. So do you have any questions about the earlier stuff?
I mean, do I need to report anything like receipt-wise?
Receipt-wise.
We had talked about sample processing, and there was something.